In the shadowed vaults of Seville, under the weight of flickering torchlight, a single chest creaks open. Gold gleams like captured sunlight, spilling forth in rivers from a world undreamed. It is 1533, and Francisco Pizarro, his armor scarred from Andean battles, stands before the ransom of Atahualpa, the fallen Inca king. Over 1,000,000 pesos of gold, enough to fill a room waist-high, piled in tribute, only to be melted into ingots stamped with the Spanish crown. This is no mere hoard, it is the first wave of an ocean crashing upon Europe's shores from the distant realms of Peru and Mexico. The galleons groan under their burden, treasure fleets slicing through Atlantic storms, sails billowing like ghosts toward the house of trade. Silver bars from Potosí's Cerro Rico, the rich hill, stacked in pyramids, each one birthed from the blood and breath of thousands laboring in torchlit depths a mile beneath the earth. By 1545, this Bolivian mountain yields 8,000,000 pesos annually, a silver deluge that drowns Seville's docks in metallic surf. Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor and King of Spain, feels the heft in his palms. 180 tons of gold, 16,000 tons of silver pouring in over 2 centuries, swelling the royal coffers to bursting. Yet even as the coins clink into ledgers, a subtle tremor stirs. Merchants in the plazas whisper of prices creeping upward, bakers demanding more silver for their loaves. Philip II inherits this glittering tide in 1556, his treasury vaults echoing with the promise of dominion. Wars beckon against the French, the Ottomans, the Dutch rebels, and the gold flows outward as fast as it arrives, financing armadas and mercenaries. The weight of empire presses down, each doubloon a double-edged blade. In the royal accountant's chambers, quills scratch furiously under candlelight, tallying inflows that blind the eye to gathering shadows. Human tails flicker amid the fortune. Atahualpa's generals, chained in Cajamarca's square, watch their emperor's gold carted away, their gods silenced by cannon smoke. In Seville, Jewish conversos and Genoese bankers handled the melt, their ledgers hiding loans at usurious rates to fund the king's endless campaigns. One such financier, Simón Ruiz, shuttles bills of exchange across borders, turning American silver into Habsburg debt. The coins circulate, heavy in the pockets of soldiers who desert for easier fortunes, or nobles who squander estates on velvet and jewels. By the 1570s, the ocean swells relentless. Mexico's Zacatecas and Guanajuato veins pulse with more silver, flooding the Manila galleon trade, swapping bars for Chinese silks that glut European markets. The air thickens with the scent of molten metal and ambition. Philip gazes from the Escorial's stone ramparts, his empire spanning continents from Philippines to Flanders. But in the quiet hours, when footsteps echo empty in the treasury halls, a faint rustle stirs, the first crumbling of vault stones under impossible weight. The gold buys palaces and cathedrals, yet the markets stir uneasily, prices doubling, trebling, as if the very abundance devours itself. As the silver tides lap higher in Seville's harbors, a silent alchemy brews in the shadowed ledgers of the Casa de Contratación. Prices awaken like beasts from slumber. Wheat leaps from 12 to 72 maravedis per fanega in mere decades, wine and oil following in relentless ascent. It is the price revolution, born not of scarcity but surfeit, an ocean of bullion devaluing every coin in circulation, inflating existence itself across the realm. By 1600, costs have sextupled, eroding the purchasing power of wages frozen in time, while the king's scribes tally inflows that mock their quill's frantic scratches. Philip II's throne room echoes with the clank of arriving chests, yet the outflows roar louder. The Dutch revolt ignites in 1568, draining 250 million ducats over decades into pikemen's pay and siege engines. Lepanto's 1571 triumph over the Ottomans demands 1.5 million ducats, a fleeting glory funded by American melt. Invincible Armada sails in 1588, 130 ships crewed by 30,000 souls, their cannonballs forged from Potosi's depths, only to shatter on Irish rocks, costing 10 million ducats more in sunken hulls and pride. Wars multiply like debts. French campaigns, Portuguese unions, English skirmishes, each gobbling silver faster than mines disgorge it. Genoese and Flemish bankers, their faces gaunt in torchlight, extend credit at 12 to 14% interest, swapping Habsburg bonds for bullion that fleets carry away. In the Andean hells of Potosi, 8,000 tons of silver rise yearly by century's end. Mita laborers, indigenous conscripts, choking on mercury fumes, their lungs silvered as they crush ore under whips. The metal journeys 14,000 miles to Europe, 80% funding the Habsburg maw. Yet Spain's markets hollow out, artisans idle as imported Flemish tapestries and Genoese silks flood plazas, cheaper than home-woven cloth. Treasury ledgers swell to 500 million ducats in 1590, but debts eclipse 400 million. Philip declares bankruptcy in 1557, 1575, 1596, 1607, 4 times in half a century, each suspension locking vault doors on desperate creditors. Human shadows lengthen amid the coinage. A Potosi overseer, pockets heavy with embezzled bars, flees to Lima's vice dens, his greed mirroring the crown's. In Madrid's Alcazar, Philip's confessors murmur of divine retribution as tax farmers squeeze peasants dry, alcabalas doubling to 10% on every sale. The peso de Mimas, once pure silver, thins with copper alloy, whispers of debasement rippling through exchanges. Footsteps echo emptier in Castile's wool markets, once bustling with English buyers. Now rivals siphon the flow, Dutch privateers like Piet Hein seizing entire fleets, English sea dogs under Drake plundering Nombre de Dios in 1572, their holds brimming with 100,000 pesos. By 1620s, the ocean's crest breaks. Inflation gnaws at soldiers' pay, sparking mutinies in Flanders mud. Nobles mortgage estates for courtly splendor, their vaults echoing hollow. Philip III and IV inherit ledgers where inflows peak, yet prosperity fades, the weight of gold transmuting to chains. In Seville's dusk-lit docks, merchants tally the toll. A realm adrift on bullion waves, wars devouring the tide before it nourishes the soil. The vaults of the Alcazar stand silent now, their iron doors ajar to reveal ledgers yellowed by time, where once mighty inflows dwindle to trickles. Hollow prosperity reigns. Spain, richest realm on earth, imports bread from France, wool from England, even timber for her own ships. Artisans' forges grow cold in Toledo and Segovia, guilds dissolving as Chinese silks and Baltic iron undercut local craft, the curse of abundance starving the hands that might have built enduring wealth. By 1650, Castile's population shrinks 20%. Fields lie fallow under endless taxes, while the silver ocean evaporates into foreign holds. Philip IV's court dazzles with Velázquez's brush, infantas in pearls plucked from Manila's trade, but beneath the canvas, bankruptcy looms eternal. The 1647 default severs Genoese credit, vault doors slamming shut on 100 million ducats owed. Portuguese revolt in 1640 siphons another 50 million yearly, fleets rotting in La Carraca for want of funds. Rivals feast on the feast. Dutch East India Company, born of seized silver, builds Amsterdam into bullion's true capital, their bourse trading Habsburg bonds at ruinous discounts. English privateers, heirs to Drake, capture the 1628 silver fleet off Matanzas, entire cargoes of 4 million pesos vanishing into Plymouth vaults, fueling Cromwell's navy. In the mountain bowels of Potosí, the Cerro Rico crumbles inward by 1660s, mercury-poisoned veins yielding half their peak, laborers' ghosts haunting galleries where echoes replace the clang of picks. The peso weakens further, alloyed to 50% silver by royal decree, inflation's whip cracking across markets. Rents quadruple, yet harvests wither under corvée burdens. Nobles, land-rich but coin-poor, pawn heirlooms to Flemish usurers. Tax collectors scour villages for alcabalas now at 14%, sparking riots in Andalusia's olive groves. Footsteps echo emptier still in Seville's Casa de Contratación, clerks tallying outbound loans that never return, the treasure fleets reduced to leaky tubs evading Barbary corsairs. Inhuman frailty seals the fracture. Olivares, Philip IV's valido, squanders 600 million ducats on 30 years' war follies, his fall in 1643 exposing ledgers where 80% of American bullion feeds foreign mercenaries. A Madrid merchant, once trafficking Potosí bars, now peddles smuggled Dutch cloth, his warehouse a tomb for unsold Castilian wool. In the Escorial's crypts, kings reflect on armadas sunk and thrones toppled, their heirs mortgaging futures for fleeting pomp. By 1700, France dictates terms at Ryswick, Spain's empire a brittle shell, Mexico and Peru still gushing silver, yet Madrid starves, bankruptcies tallying 6 under the Habsburgs alone. The ocean recedes, leaving salt-scoured docks and crumbling stone vaults. Markets hush, torchlight flickers over empty scales, the weight of gold transmuted to dust. Philip V, Bourbon heir, inherits a treasury echoing with ghosts, the realm's grandeur a facade over fiscal abyss. In the quiet vaults, the final ledgers close, whispering of empires drowned by their own riches. As the final ledgers of the Habsburgs seal with a hollow thud, their ink fading like empires themselves, a quiet bridge extends from Seville's shadowed vaults to the markets of our own time. Spain's ocean of gold and silver, that glittering deluge which promised eternity but delivered dust, whispers a timeless ledger of caution. Abundance unchecked breeds fragility, and the weight of riches can crush the hands that grasp them. Today, in an age of digital fortunes and inflating tides, these ancient follies illuminate paths to personal resilience, steps any one of us can etch into our own accounts, turning history's ruins into safeguards for tomorrow. Consider the price revolution's shadow, where bullion floods eroded every coin's worth. Now, as currencies swell with printed abundance, the wise build reserves not in fleeting metals, but in sound assets that hold their heft, precious metals unalloyed by fiat whims, or lands that yield through seasons of storm. Diversify as the neglected Castilian artisans might have. Spread holdings across realms beyond one ocean's tide, blending equities that compound quietly, bonds that anchor volatility, and skills that mint value from thin air. Shun the Habsburg over-leverage, those vault doors slammed on endless debts. Instead, cap borrowings at half your inflows, letting equity swell before expansion tempts. Monitor inflation's creep as Philip's scribes failed to, the doubling of wheat prices a harbinger. Tracking consumer baskets monthly, adjusting ledgers when costs stir from slumber, pivoting to hedges like real yields or inflation-linked vaults. Echoing Potosi's hollowed hill, recognize the resource curse in personal hoards. A single stock's Cerro Rico peak invites collapse when veins thin. Cultivate domestic industry as Spain scorned. Learn trades that endure, from coding ledgers to crafting goods, ensuring your fortune's root in production, not plunder. Avoid war's drain, those armadas sunk in ambition's gale. Audit expenses ruthlessly, pruning luxuries that mimic noble squander, channeling savings into compounding fortresses. In family councils, under modern torchlight, teach heirs the peso's lesson. Alloyed trust erodes bonds, so instill frugality early, building generational vaults immune to royal decrees. These steps, drawn from crumbling stone and silenced markets, empower without empire's pomp, quiet disciplines that weather any tide. A modest portfolio, diversified and deleveraged, weather storms that topple titans. Reserves in gold's enduring gleam or earth's quiet yield outlast paper promises. History's bankrupt kings remind, greed locks treasury doors on the unwary, but vigilance unlocks prosperity's flow. Now, as footsteps fade in those empty Andalusian plazas, contemplate the broader hush of collapse. Cathedrals endure while crowns tumble, fields reclaim thrones untended. Every empire, from Habsburg vaults to unseen horizons, carries bankruptcy's seed in unchecked appetite. The Dutch companies rise on Spanish silver, but a prelude to their own ledger's fall. Across generations the whisper persists, riches amassed without roots wither like untended mines. Yet in this echo lies grace. For those who heed, ruin becomes teacher, forging wealth that whispers back defiance. In Potosi's scarred heights or Seville's salt-worn docks, the same truth gleams. True fortune weighs light on the soul, heavy only in legacy. Thank you for walking these shadowed halls of history. If these tales guard your vaults, linger with us. Subscribe softly, and we'll trace the next crumbling ledger together.